The argument that you made at the end of the 16-minute video is that foreign man is bad because of his father and that he has caused panic scale. That ain't it, boss. That ain't it. So it has been a little bit since we did anything intentionally educational on this stream. Uh, I would argue the Civil War videos are a little educational, but that's beside the point. At any rate, it's been a little bit. Me and Hatman had an unintentional educational discussion last week before last, and that's been a while, and we've sort of been in limbo for a little bit. That's ending. We're gonna hit the grindstone again, and I thought, as I went through and started watching things, I thought we could talk about what makes a good argument, especially because we're coming into a period of time where it's an election, and you hear a lot of arguments being made, and a lot of them are pretty damn bad. So, I was watching some of the Keffals stuff. A lot of it's just boring, but this I think is important, and we'll talk about it. And it's not necessarily that I hate this as much as I hate the next one. The next one I really hate, like it's offensively bad. So let's sort of hop into this. Let's listen to this and let's talk about it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what a more effective argument might have been. So, good evening, Lily, Pomdad, and Vodka, and Goodman. I am so happy you're all here tonight, but let's hop into this.
Probably one of the newest darlings of the left, due to what I like to call the effect, which is when something tragic happens to a person in a community, a marginalized community especially, and folks begin to rally behind them in order to ward off a common enemy, which in this case was Kiwi Farms. And let me get serious. Well, let's take a moment. I can't believe I'm saying this, right? But we got to commend Keffals, because she went up against a system that is the taint of 4chan. Like, all of the sweat and the unctuous grease from the net beds them of Reddit and our poll alike, it settles into Kiwi Farms.
So, if you don't know who this is, and you probably do, this is Foreign Man in a Foreign Land. He's a YouTuber who does, well, their videos, kind of, sort of. I wouldn't go so far as to call them essays. That's an insult to the word essay. On, mostly racial topics, really. How's it going, Zenikill? Mostly racial topics. And he did one of last year's annual Keffals and Vosh hit pieces, which was talked about extensively at the time. And it's awful. And on a lot of levels, it's a lot of bad arguments stacked on top of bad arguments. Some information sort of came out recently about him, and let's kind of see how Keffals goes into bringing this about and talking about this, because that is, and we'll talk about it a little bit too.
There are forums dedicated to doxing people, threads that were literal nooses for some Sudokus. And the intrepid Keffals fought valiantly, endured some of the worst of Kiwi Farms, then emerged like a phoenix into a shiny career in leftist progressive punditing, and also posturing, but we'll get to that. Then she pissed on it. I talking about like old yellow style, show the leg up, piss on it, right? She gone on to make some of the most egregious lies and bigotries we have seen in this space, to the point
I don't even... The noodles thing is absurd on so many levels. Like, even relitigating that is absurd. But like, here we have. What are these shows lies and bigotries? I don't understand. What is this supposed to illustrate? You're just saying things to say them at this point, Foreign Man.
Point where it got so bad that she had to do this. She got help. Now, let me start by saying this, right?
This is pretty damn gross too. Let's be frank. This is pretty damn gross because it shows like he thought that this is the Roseanne Barr defense, really. Not my Xanax made me a racist is what he's trying to point out.
That we need to encourage. We ought encourage it. When folks are battling addictions and illnesses, then they get help. We ought commend this. That being said, getting help in itself is not atonement. And it is also not a pacifier of the pain that the perpetrator inflicted.
You still have not established what needs to be atoned for or what pain was done. But that's beside the point again.
While you may be a victim of your own traumas and malignments, you cannot now claim victimhood status after inflicting pain at scale. But many supporters of Keffals warded off criticism in the name of her rehab visit. And whether she's doing it intentionally or not, Keffals is not only using her status as a trans woman that was attacked by one of the most vicious platforms on the internet, but also her status as a survivor of substance abuse. And she primped and preened the slithering coils of Medusa.
So, I'm done defending myself. The time to defend myself is over. Let's talk about foreign. What is foreign hiding? His accent's fake. That's the first thing to address. Here is a video of Peter DeVoe Isaacs Jr., his actual name, back when he was at Iowa State University.
He rose his hand and then he said something and I was like, this guy, like, he's wearing a suit, so he looks kind of like he knows everything, or he's just kind of like cocky, so I was like, bleh. Man didn't want that thing, but girl didn't want that, yeah. I just want to feel no that, I don't want to feel your pain. I thought alone talking, and I was just like, out of nowhere, I interrupted. I was like, are you from the Bahamas? Like, I said this in like the meeting that was like 20 different people, and then he was like,
I looked at her and I'm like, you're from the Bahamas?
yeah.
Because she definitely doesn't look like she's from the Bahamas. I trust her and she trusts me to go and put out a project, and we depend on each other. You know, we know, hey, we have someone depending on us to make this amazing. So I think that also helps, the teamwork and the chemistry between us. All of that contributes to making a really good first impression.
So, if you want the context here, here's his father.
Has support internationally.
All right, this is Keffals' first big misstep. His father doesn't really have anything to do with him, or his accent. So obviously, Foreign Man is playing up his accent. Whether or not you find that offensive enough or not, I guess, is up to you. I think it is at the very least kind of. It tastes bad in my mouth thinking about it, because it's not. It harkens back to a kind of attitude that we tended to take, especially towards Asian Americans in the early turn of the century. But he's not, strictly speaking, not from the region. So if he wants to affect the accent as a part of a performance, that's fine, I guess. It still feels a little weird. But the issue, I think, at play here is not his father, and Keffals is going to go on about that for some time, is not his father so much as it is what he has done. You are not the sins of your parents. You are your own person, and you get to commit your own sins. So that I think is we're going to move ahead a little bit here, but
side of Foreign that he wouldn't want to be seen by his newfound audience.
Oh my god,
like,
that's so sick.
It's a stripper name, bro. Like, I told her that, like, she, like, okay, like, legit when we met, like, I told her, like, she's like, I just, like, bro. I was like legit like when I met her, like I was just like, what's your name? And like Sapphire. I'm like,
Oh my god.
Let's talk about what Foreign actually thinks of cancel culture.
You know, if you're gonna go back to when I was 17 and I said death slur in one of my videos because like that was what I thought.
So, kind of just stopping here. No one likes cancel culture when it's being done to them, and everyone is perfectly okay with it when it's being done to someone they don't like. That's just the facts. That's just the basic facts of it. I'm not sure that's the gotcha she thinks it is.
Was normal. Hey man, I don't do that anymore. Like,
give people room to grow. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, and that's what cancel culture just like robbed us of. It's like you have to like be, and like I mean like in the Caribbean, like we're like really politically incorrect.
So many places are like in the U.S. It's just very popular now to be very politically correct. Like it wasn't.
I just want to set this statement aside because we've been talking about political correctness since at least the 90s and probably considerably longer. So I feel like this particular sentence, like pretending that this is a new phenomena, is just silly. But that's, again, beside the point.
Like if you said, you know, the F slur around somebody who didn't like it,
if you said
most
UK,
of the time they wouldn't have.
In the UK, it's a cigarette.
Oh yeah.
So they still say it.
Mm-hmm. Like they. In other, like, even, you know, when I was in high school, if you said it, like, usually if somebody didn't like the word, they would just, like, shut their mouth or something like that. Now it's, like, almost cool to, like, call people out on it.
So we have him in a clip defending using homophobic slurs.
You know, if you're...
That's a little far. He's making an observation about the use of a word contextually inside of a different country. Anyway, let's kind of get to where this gets rough. Yeah, that's not really what he's doing. He's pointing out the context of it, of what that word means in England in reference to a particular object. So,
exploited these fears among socially conservative.
Yes, the war on drugs is awful.
As a result, within which to regulate different drugs based primarily on risk of addiction. Nixon, a national interview recently published in Harper's Magazine. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies: the anti-war left and black people. So this is Act. You can see that this was the start of the intensification. I don't want to hear a single fucking word about drug addiction and pain.
All right. I get why Keffals is sensitive to this, but again, this is his father, not him. He is not his father. The argument that you made at the end of the 16-minute video is that Foreign Man is bad because of his father, and that he has caused panic scale. That ain't it, boss. That ain't it. This is the kind of argument you make when you don't want to make the other argument, or you don't have one, which is weird, because Keffals very clearly has an argument to make about Foreign Man, about his authenticity, about how he presents himself to his audience. Like, there's an argument to be made there. Like, there's this accent. He's affecting an accent. He is doing these things in order to sound more foreign and exotic. He is playing into a concept of essentialism in order to talk about race. If that is ironic, he should probably account for that. This is a weak argument because ultimately he's going to brush off things about his dad. It's just that simple. She's trying to expose him as a hypocrite. The thing I think that exposes him as a hypocrite is much more readily available in the same video that she took the initial clip from.
Very boot being the metaphorical manifestation of racism and homophobia packaged into a one-act play, armed with enough bleach to make Vibes Cartel himself blush, and a noose bedizening the neck like a plantation-themed party. So whatever True Diddley was art when he took this picture.
Is there anything inside the apartment?
I just don't want my neighbors to know.
Okay.
So I explained to them how you were going to get something in. And the reason I'm calling because... Okay.
Okay. Do you want to take it off or anything?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to see.
72 Reverend. Shows transport 41 female official detention.
Bleach on me. Bleach on me.
Okay.
Jussie clamored that he was accosted by two black men who called him homophobic slurs and topped it off with, "This is MAGA country." The fact that this was so perfectly fulfilling the precipitous requirements for a hate crime made me dizzy. My head did bounce like ball and was swinging more than playground. Then celebrities proliferated the internet with responses of support for the Empire actor Jussie. And if you don't...
Okay, first of all, this is neither here nor there, but you proliferate things. You proliferate messages. You don't proliferate the internet. The internet is not proliferatable.
remember the show Empire, it brought you classics like this. But the very actor that played Jamal Lyon, remember the show Empire, it brought you classics like Lion. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but if you would stage a hate crime, right, then why besmirch the couple of them instead of the that swapped their hoods for hats?
Bench. This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them.
Anyway, the world dragged Jussie like a dead deer off to the side of the road because in an attempt to apprehend the attention Jussie believed he was entitled to, he got the type of attention nobody wants: infamy. So what did he do in order to ward off the warranted criticism he got? He did this.
I'm not. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. I'm not. Okay? I am not. I am innocent, and I'm not. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my the LGBT.
Jussie dual-wielded the race card and the gay card, which in a white supremacist cishet society is somewhat of a draw for of performative people who brandish social justice warrior in their bio and bios alone. Now, you would probably say a retort that those marginalized cards didn't save Jussie from jail.
So I point this out, this part out, because it's I think important. The biggest issue is coming up. Just bear in mind what he is lambasting Jussie Smollett for.
Nor did his lawyer, who is the current lawyer for the monospheric mogul Andrew Tate, not Angel, Jesus wept. But it can be argued that the very card saved O.J. Simpson.
Did you do it?
No, I didn't.
After we finished filming, OJ said to me that he had a surprise for me, and I genuinely was surprised. I think it was his idea of a joke, and this is it.
In any other scenario, a black man accused of wiping out a white woman will be thrown under the jail. But OJ's blackness was only rivaled by his wealth, as well as him being the closest possible to the...
Okay. First of all, O.J. Simpson and Emmett Till are radically different things in radically different times. That's why let's just bring out the card again. Jesus. Change over time. Number one, right there. One of these things is not like the other, and the fact that one of them happened in the 90s. I remember. I was there.
pinnacle of patriarchy, a star-studded athlete adored by the entire world. That trumped racist white America's voracious desire to protect white womanhood and white femininity, which are pinnacles of white supremacy that if you haven't heard enough of, you could watch this video up here. But in short, white womanhood is so powerful that it can kill an Emmett Till. It can get the police called on you for simply existing, while simultaneously being a badge of marginalization as white women and white femmes are subjugated in the patriarchal societies as well.
Like you said, like J.K. Rowling uses her BuzzFeed feminism. That's what I like to also call it. J.K. Rowling, Taylor Swift, like utilize.
I have called white people. Sorry, we need to talk about the white slander. I have called white people skeet-colored, sun-dodging, paper impersonating people. The list goes on. I've said things that will be read back to me in the court that decides whether I go to heaven or hell. And all that I could hope for is that my family gets a discount for my funeral, because I know ain't no way I going to heaven. And I would blush if I found out that they spend so much money just for me to go to hell. Even if God himself is up there smoking and getting they ate, it don't matter. But there's one thing I did that truly demonstrates how marginalization could be weaponized. And that was my most popular video at the moment, Asiaphobia in the Black community. I vividly recall my heart dropping into my after I uploaded this video and I saw the sign that YouTubers fear the most, the limited monetization sign. Oh gosh. This meant that all my hard work would be for naught. So I started campaigning, claiming that YouTube is penalizing me for being a Black creator, discussing these racy issues, which is definitely something that happens, but not this time. Regardless of the commentary to be had on how the algorithm...
Okay. So here he is saying, right off the bat, I lied. In a video where he goes on to talk about people like Vosh and Keffals, and which he attempts to lie again. This, I think, is a lot more damning than anything his father has ever done. When you take all these things together, you start to paint a picture of a person. No, the manuscript is utterly unreadable. That's beside any point. But you paint a picture of a person who's not being honest. If he's going to lie about this, about what he is made, what he has made and done, and like that this is a case of racism, and his principal topics are what is and is not racism. What else has he lied to you about? The thing about YouTube that makes it work properly, probably better than most media, is a case of how you perceive creators as being authentic. And he is thoroughly inauthentic. Between faking the accent, lying about the basic subject matter of his channel, and insofar as what we would have to go in and check anyway, he's just not authentic. That's the argument that Keffals should be making. Not about his father and the war on drugs. Like, that might seem personal to her, but that's the argument. Like, that's why this person should be viewed suspiciously.